Hi, this is Jerry with I Love RV Life. Joan and I have traveled into a number of areas recently where we had very poor cell service. I need to work on the road. I need to be able to make phone calls, and I need to be able to get decent cellular internet service. We have a solution to combat that. We have the new HiBoost Travel 4G cell phone booster. We're looking forward to giving this a try. Hi, this is Jerry. Joan and I travel often, and here recently we've just been in areas that had very poor cell coverage. This is kind of unique. We've not run into this solution. We'd hit it once or twice in our travels, but it seems like every other place that we've been going to has had poor service, and I've got to fix that. I need my cell phone to be able to work so that I can call and receive calls from clients. I need decent cell phone coverage for my Wi-Fi routers and my hotspots so that I can use the internet service, both for work and some entertainment as well. So we have been in search of some type of a solution for that. And we recently received from HiBoost this Travel 4G cell phone booster. This is made specifically for RVs, and I'll show you the pieces and parts that came with it. We're really looking forward to this product and giving it a shot and seeing how it's going to work here in our new Montana. One of the challenges is where to mount, how to mount, and there are a number of pieces and parts. I don't think this is going to be too complicated of an installation. One of the great things that HiBoost has created is an app for your phone. So that is supposed to, we'll see, that is supposed to show us the best place for our antenna placement outside as well as inside. One of the reasons that so many people have failures with these cell phone boosters is they get the outside antenna and the inside antenna too close. They might put one near a window. That's something you don't want to do. You want to have a number of feet of separation between these two items. If not, this thing gets in a loop and it'll actually make your cell phone coverage worse. So a proper installation is very key. HiBoost has 3 different applications for this cell phone booster. They have one for cars, one for trucks, and then one for RVs. And we have specific antennas and configurations for that. Let me show you what we have. So the kit comes with a number of components. It's totally self-contained, everything that you'll need. We have a omnidirectional antenna. Now this is unique to the RV kit, this omnidirectional antenna. We could go with a directional antenna, but I'm looking for simplicity when we arrive at our site. So this is a high gain antenna for the cellular booster. This is the booster itself. You have your indoor antenna connection, your outdoor, the connection for 12 volts, and then there's a USB connection here as well that we won't be using. And then you got your indicator lights for power and cell signal, such as that. This is your indoor antenna. That will be looking for placement as well. We have 2 powering options. We have this 12 volt accessory or cigarette lighter adapter style, which we're not going to be using right now. And then we also have this AC provided. And we're going to use this for now. I think we may convert it to DC later, but this is what we're going to use for now. They sent us cable that will go from here to the antenna, but I also ordered some additional low loss 30-foot antenna cable. This was not going to be long enough for our installation, so I do have a 30-foot low loss coax cable that was ordered separately from this, and HiBoost provided that as well. They give us the hardware that we need for mounting the antenna, and we're going to be mounting the antenna probably right now we're going to be putting it on the ladder. At least that's where we're going to see if it will work from there. They give us the adhesive pads for the antenna, and if you choose to not use screws and you want to use Velcro, they give you some adhesive Velcro to be able to mount that. We're going to screw this in somewhere. And then they give a well-written user manual for this. So we're going to get started with the installation and see where we go. One of the things that we want to do before we start a installation of any type of a cellular booster, or if you're looking for a true signal reference, is to see exactly how strong that signal is. Sure, we're used to looking at our phones and going 1 bar, 2 bar, or hey, we got 4 or 5, we got a great signal. And when you get into 4 or 5 bars, sure, that's a good reference. But when we're starting to look at boosting a very, very weak signal, we want to get to a more granular level. And the reference that we want to look at is something called the Reference Signal Receive Power, or RSRP. And you can see that on some applications that you can buy for your phone. And you really don't have to buy an application. There's an easy way to be able to do that. And I'll show you how to do it on an iPhone. I don't have an Android to be able to demonstrate, but you can do it similarly with an Android phone as well. So when you're looking at your signals, something that, and these are all, this RSRP is always shown in a negative value. So if you see if you look at this and you're going, oh, negative whatever, and you think, oh, I've got a terrible signal, that's not true. All these references are always done in negatives. So when you look at it from a granular level, -50 to -79, usually that's your 4 to 5 bars. That's excellent. That's a great signal. 80 to 89, a -80 to 89 is good. You can get good cellular throughput, both internet as well as, for your data as well as for your phone as well. 3 to 4 bars is typically what you see in that range. 90 to 99 is starting to get weaker. That's what I would call an average. Your phone will still work great to be able to get voice calls and text messages and those types of things. Data will start to suffer when you start getting in this thing. You'll still get good data, but you won't get that really high speed data that you typically would see. Something still you could probably work with if you can get into the 90 to 99s. Now, when you start getting into -100 to -109, that's at 1 to 2 bars. That's really, really poor. And you're going to really start struggling. You'll probably be able to get phone calls. You'll probably be able to send text messages. Data is going to really suffer. And then when you get to where we're at today, in the -110s, the -120s, it's actually worse on the cell phone inside the camper. I have to literally go down a little ways and stick a foot in the air. It's bad. It's bad. That's what they were typically referred to as a dead zone. That sometimes you can get 1 bar, it might bounce in and out, or you'll get nothing. And right now I've got 1 bar barely, and it's pretty poor. One of the things that HiBoost recommends that you do in your installation is to do a temporary install, and I strongly recommend that as well. Again, I shared earlier, for a booster to work best, you need to make sure you have proper separation from your antennas. More is better, but sometimes depending on the size of your RV, whether you've got an A or a B or a C, or whether you've got a pull-behind travel trailer or Airstream, something like that, or one of these big fifth wheels. Again, where that antenna is going to be on the outside, where you're going to place your booster, and where you're going to place your internal antenna, you're kind of struggling to find fit. I must admit, I'm struggling to find fit of where I'm going to put this and where it looks good. I just don't want a bunch of cables laying around. I really want to give it that factory install look. So we're going to do something temporary first. I don't want to be drilling holes in things until I know exactly where the booster will be best optimized. And one of the things that HiBoost provides you with is a Signal Supervisor app, and you can download it from Google Play Store or your Apple App Store. Either one of those locations have it for your specific phone, and that will guide you in if you have the best separation for your antenna. You can move things around and make sure you don't have any interference. So we'll be going through those steps as well. So in this first part of our install, I am just going to be mounting the antenna, running a cable through the window, plugging the HiBoost in, and moving the internal antenna around the fifth wheel to find its best location so that we can have the strongest boost that we can possibly get. Okay, let's head outside and get started. I placed the mounting plate on the antenna, and we are just going to do this temporarily for now until I'm 100% sure this is where we want it, but I think this is what's going to work for me best right here. There's also 2 ends. One will go here. This is your standard RG6 style antenna connector, and then I think the other one that goes on the inside is an SMA. But I'm just going to make that good and tight. All right, let's go inside and start doing some testing. Okay, for starters, we're going to put it here at the sink, and there is an indoor and an outdoor, so they make it pretty simple. So I'm going to put the outdoor antenna on first. Next will be the indoor antenna. And I'm just going to leave all the slack loose as I move this indoor antenna around the fifth wheel here to see which works best. See if we can turn it around that way. I like that better. There we go. We're going to power it with 110 today. Plug this in. Okay. Well, I've made some changes in this soft install. If you saw earlier, I was thinking I'm just going to go ahead and mount the antenna on the ladder rack up toward the top. That's about 13 feet is where that antenna is going to be. And, you know, I'm in a really, really low cellular signal location. And that's when we're going to need these the most. If we got a good signal, you know, we're probably not going to need a booster. But when we're in these very weak locations, I wanted to give this the most extreme test to see if it was going to be able to meet our needs. And what I found out is putting that antenna, at least in this location at 13 feet, did not give me enough elevation to be able to get the boost that I wanted. So I've kind of rethought this whole thing about how I will use the HiBoost and how I'll be testing with it. And then how I'll be using it eventually. And we'll be using it full time as we go forward. I have a 16-foot painter's pole. Let me show you how I'm using this. This is one of those collapsible painter's poles that you'll see here, going all the way up. The good news is this is 16 feet that you're seeing to the very top. Now, you'll see the antenna wire running out of a window. I'm going to be changing all this in the final install, but this is still for the soft test. And how I'm mounting this, I think you'll like this. These are those glass suction cups, you know, like if you're going to be moving a large window or a piece of marble. And I think I bought these at Harbor Freight. They're inexpensive, but they've got they fit good and tight as long as you got a good, clean, slick surface and just some bungee cords. And so, you know, from an install perspective, I can put this thing up in minutes. Placing this up an extra 3 feet made a very substantial difference in signal. Let's go inside and we'll do some more testing. I'm actually starting to get some great results off of this. So let's put this through the paces. We're still continuing our soft install. Here is the antenna that I've just literally laying on the dining room table for now. I've got 3 devices that I'm going to be using to do today's testing, and I'm trying to set this up as the typical RV traveler that may not have a whole lot of technology. It might just have the basics. So I'm going to be using just a standard iPhone. This is an iPhone 11. I'm going to be using a Verizon Wi-Fi hotspot. Now this is an older model. The newer models that you would get from Verizon would be the 8800. This is a 6600. Still tried and true, works great. We're going to use this. So nothing very, very sophisticated. And the last item I'm going to use is something that most people will not have. I just happen to have one. And this is called a Mobley. These were created for AT&T car plan. I have an AC adapter. These plugged into your ODB port on your car, and you can get a car plan. Now, the reason I'm using this is a great little plan. It's an all-you-can-use plan. It has been grandfathered, but these Mobleys don't have the best antenna in it. So if I can get an improved AT&T signal off of this, and I'm going to actually show you signal levels on my iPad, this will be a game changer for this. So I use it from time to time, so I've got a couple plans. I have to use Verizon, I have to use AT&T. We go in various locations. And where I'm at right now, Verizon's bad. Let me show you how bad it is. To do this on an iPhone, I'm going to put in *3001 #12345 #. and this will be the mobile strength. And you will notice, if you can make this out right here, my RSRP is at a negative 108. That's pretty poor up here at the top. I've got 1 bar. It's really, really bad. And just to show you how bad it is, I'm just using speed test here, and we'll see what kind of speeds I'm getting. They're horrible. So I'm not even going to get a megabit down here. Again, I'm in a very, very low location. I don't expect to get much better than this. Pretty bad. This is without booster. And up, I'm not even going to get a half a megabit up. So from a work perspective, of course, I'm not going to be using the phone. From a work perspective, this is pretty bad. So let's, just from a phone, let's hook up the booster and then see what we have from here. So this is where it gets extremely, extremely interesting. Placing this directly up against the antenna, and again, I think this is because I've got such an extremely low signal coming in from the Verizon tower. This is jumping, has jumped to a negative 96. Now, that is over, what? That's a 10 to 12 dB improvement. And then we see from a speed test on the phone, see if we've got any improvements here. Now, realize I wasn't even getting a megabyte. Again, I'm in a very rural location here, but we are getting, so now you're seeing that we did get some improvement, some substantial improvement over what we had before. I wasn't even getting a megabit of download. I was not even getting a half a megabit of upload. I'm getting 2.28 and 4.26. Now, again, the only thing that you can boost, a poor signal, you can make a poor signal good. You can make a good signal better, but you can't make a poor signal better. It's just not enough power to be able to do that. You start getting into distortion and it won't work. So I think the interesting thing here in this test is, because the cell signal is so low at this location for Verizon specifically, I'm having to get as much gain as I can by laying this phone here from a data perspective. On a voice call, no problem whatsoever. It does give us good coverage. As you can see here, I still have 2 bars even at a distant location. So let's try it with a hotspot and see what happens. Okay, here's my older jetpack, and we have him booted up. It might be a little difficult to be able to see this screen, so I will do my best to share the information. Here is the About screen. Let's go there. And we can see without, again, this is horrible. Without the booster, I'm getting a negative 118. At a negative 118, that's just almost, negative 120, you're pretty much nothing. You know, you can't even make a data call. So I don't expect anything substantial here. I've logged on. We'll make sure that I am on the Verizon hotspot. You'll see that in my Verizon MiFi 6620. So we'll use that. We'll go to my utilities. We're going to go to speed test. Now, I will share this about these old 6600 hotspots. They work in places where no others will work. So this is with no boost here. We'll see how well this performs now. And you see, without boost, again, this isn't fantastic, but compared to the iPhone, it's superiorly better. I'm not quite getting, just a fraction under 2 megabits. And then upload, it's not going to be much better. It's going to be about the same. Okay. So we can see with this, where are we going to end up at here? We're going to end up at 1.88. This is no boost. 1.88 and 0.93 upload. Okay, so let's hook the booster back up, let it sync up, see what we're going to get here. So I'm looking at this. I know it's going to be hard to read, but now I'm at a negative 88 to negative 89. And now that is, almost a 20 dB improvement. That's pretty substantial. Yeah, I'm looking at a negative 84. So again, we're going to bring up the iPad here. We're going to make sure that we are still logged on to Verizon, and we are. The MiFi 6620, so that's a good thing. We'll go back to our utilities. We'll go back to our speed test. We're going to start our test all over again. And let's see if we get some improvement here. So before we could barely make a megabyte. And look at this. Now we're over doubling, almost tripling the data input. That is really, really substantial. I'm quite surprised that we're getting that much boost. Again, look at that. Now here's the good news. I can work with 6 down and 2 or 3 up. I can upload my videos. I'm going to actually get 5 up here. I've never seen this from this location before. I'm going to get 6 megabits up. So I'm almost got 6 down, over 6.5 up. Look at that. That is huge. That is huge. I've never been able to get that signal level here. That's a 6 times, a 600% improvement over what I was able to get before. Now again, Verizon is my worst connection here, absolute worst. So let's see what AT&T can give me. I can get a little bit better signal here with AT&T. Not much, but a little bit. Let's see how it's going to perform. Let's see how we look now with the Mobley. It is sitting here by the antenna, but I have the unit turned off, and you can see here we're sitting at about a negative 114. It's bouncing between 113 and 114. Let's see what our speeds are. This Mobley actually works pretty good, even in difficult situations. We found a testing connection here, and we're bouncing between, we're sitting at 3 now. At 3.5. We're going to make 3.5. We made 3.5. Made 4, so average to 4. And my upload speed is barely usable. I would really be struggling to use this. Really struggle to use this in a work environment. I could get some things done, but you know, I'm at 4.11 and 1.48. Let's plug the unit in and just see if we can get some improvements here. I have my fingers crossed. All right, as we've seen with the previous test, I'm just going to take this antenna. The antenna on the Mobley's here on the back, and I'm just going to kind of place this right there close to the antenna. I could probably actually move this a little bit lower, but again, we've got such a terrible signal coming in from the outside world. I'm going to try to give this the best benefit of a doubt. And we're going to make sure that we're logged on here on this SSID. We are. We're still there. Loving every minute. Me too. And we will go to our web interface. And we'll look at our About connection now. And oh my gosh, can you see that? We're at a negative 78 dB. That's almost a 30 dB gain. That is huge. That is huge. And again, just a better signal here, a cleaner signal from AT&T from our location to the tower. And this remote location, I'm crossing my fingers. This bad boy is going to rock this time. Okay, we see AT&T Internet. We're going to do a speed test, and we are off. So I'm taking, roughly about 13, 14, and download. I found that placing the Mobley here just a little ways away from the antenna, I guess I'm overdriving the signal a little bit. I actually get a little performance boost here by not putting it directly up to it. But I'm running anywhere from 15 down to almost 7. We're going to make 7. Yep, we made 7 up. Wow. Almost 8. We're going to make 8. Almost made 8 megabits up. That is substantially better. I can work with that. We can, Joan, matter of fact, Joan could be watching TV on Roku, and I could be working and doing all of my uploads and downloads without any problem whatsoever. So that's a big boost here with AT&T over Verizon compared to what I had without the booster running. 15 and almost 8. Well, let me give you kind of my concluding thoughts on the HiBoost Travel 4G 2.0 RV. First of all, HiBoost sent me this unit to test. And I didn't have any expectations whether it was going to work one way or the other. Second, I placed my test in probably one of the worst locations for the HiBoost because I wanted to be able to see, would it work for us when we're in the extreme areas? If I've got a good to better signal, then I don't see a need for running a HiBoost. As a matter of fact, we've been traveling for quite a few years now, and I've never used any form of a booster. But now we have this one, and HiBoost provided it. I did want to give it a good, honest try. So here I am in a location. You saw on my testing Verizon, I had a signal level of about a -116 to -118, AT&T of about a -112 to 113. And those kind of conditions are about as bad as you can get and still have an operating cell phone device, whether you're using it for voice, for messaging, but data, you grossly suffer. So here's what I saw from this unit. Mounting at 13 feet on the back of the ladder rack was just not enough height for my location. Again, if I had maybe an average signal or a good signal, it would have probably worked fine. I think to our advantage, we will be keeping this unit, we will be using this unit, and we'll be using it when we get in these difficult situations. Moving to the painter pole and just moving this up another 3 feet made a substantial difference. It was shocking just what 3 feet in elevation of that antenna did. And I think also that gives us flexibility to be able to move the unit or move the antenna around at various locations. Using those window suction cups and just a couple simple bungee cords and an aluminum painter's pole and mounting that antenna on top just makes it simple. I can collapse it down, I can put it in storage, and we can go from there. Turning the booster on, again, I'm in very low conditions here. Very poor signal coming in, but placing my wireless devices, my hotspots, up close to the antenna. Interestingly enough, the Verizon hotspot, the 6602, worked better if I placed it right up adjacent to the antenna. My little Mobley hotspot, my AT&T hotspot that I actually had to put it about 6 to 8 inches away. It just kind of overdrove the signal. But wow, with Verizon, again, I couldn't even get a megabit up and down, and I got over 6. That was a 600% improvement. And again, I'm in a very remote location. What does that difference mean? Well, I can use my AT&T signal, or I could use my Verizon signal in this instance, and I could continue to work inside our fifth wheel, and I wouldn't have to grab the laptop, drive up the road however many miles until I got a decent signal, or go sit in a coffee shop. I can still work in the comfort of our portable home here. But the AT&T signal here, even though it was only a few dB difference, I had quite a substantial change in upload, and about the same, a little bit better improvement in download. But that upload speed is what's so critical when you're working. I can upload files, I can upload videos, I could conduct Zoom calls, which I do from time to time, or go-to meetings, or any of those types of things. You only need about 2 or 3 megabits for a good video call, whether you're using Google or Zoom or GoTo or any of those products. And I could conduct a very good high quality video, live video with my clients, or even if I was going to do a live stream on YouTube, I could get a very good quality video signal. So overall, placing the HiBoost in the most challenging location to where I know that I had about as low a signal as I could get from the cell tower and still barely have a functional phone or barely have a functional hotspot, I could make increases up to 600%. What I think will be interesting as we travel is if we get into places which are average, average to moderate type cell signals, where I'm getting something like a -90, something like that, -95. Can I get up into the 80s? Can I get up into 70s? Can I get up into the 60s and boost those speeds up even higher? And I think that's what's going to be really exciting as we continue to use this. It's a keeper. I would recommend it. I will share this from an install perspective. For me, it just wasn't plug and go. I think the portable pole is going to be best for my application. If you're going to be way out in the boonies and you're going to be in a very, very poor location using an omnidirectional antenna as I'm using, with, you know, moderate gain on that antenna, you're going to need to get as much height as you want. I think something else I might try in the future is to get one of those pie-shaped directional antennas that have 11, 12, 13, 14 dB gain, which is quite substantial, to where you're actually directing the signal toward the tower using something like Open Signal to find that location. Might get me some better improvement. So I am going to look at a way to be able to install this permanently. I'll be showing that in a future video, what we'll be doing. I'll do it in one of our compilations as we use devices. But thank you, HiBoost, for sending us the device. I put you through the ringer, but it worked, and it worked enough for me to keep it, and I would suggest that you might want to give this a try as well if you're needing to improve your cellular signal in your location. I love doing these things. I love doing these things. This one was a challenge, but I do it for one main reason, and you got that right. It's because I love RV life.